Klal Yisrael, the people of Israel, were enslaved to the Egyptians and were in Egypt for 210 years under the worst possible conditions. Nothing that would be dissimilar to what the Nazis made our name forever be destroyed or had subjected us to. And after 210 years, Klal Yisrael they were released out of Mitzrayim, from Egypt, by God. And he brought the Jewish people to Mount Sinai. And he told Moshe, he said, Moshe, I have a gift for you. And the gift that I have for you, and by definition, the word gift means something that somebody can never repay. In other words, the one who gives the gift out to somebody is giving, and the receiver is receiving something that is more than what he was able to give in the first place. That's what the definition of a gift is. Because if it was a compensation for it, then it would be, according to the Hebrew word Shalom, which means to complete. But here there was no completeness. The person couldn't possibly be able to give in return what the giver was giving. And God said to Moshe, he said, I have a gift for you. And that gift is Shabbos, the eternal connection between the Jewish people and Klal Yisrael and the people of Israel. Hashem said to Yehuda Raskas, he said, I have a gift for you. He says, and that gift is Elisheva. He says, with all that you've been through, regardless of what it is, you'll never be able to repay that beautiful gift that I'm going to give to you. There have been many gifts that I've had in my life. I've had the gift of a wonderful mother who, her whole essence is wanting to give. That's all she wants to constantly do, is to give and to be able to make others happy. And Ron, who's been very supportive at her side. And Ron, I must say, top of the morning to you. In addition to that, I've had a gift of a wonderful family. And I'm very sorry that my sister Sharon couldn't be here this morning, and may she have a refuah shlema along with her son Shalom Yitzchak. A family that's been close, that's there to be able to share with each other the simchas, and they're also there in the time of need. And you can't imagine of what type of bracha it is to be able to have a family that remains close like that. I've had the gift of a community that exemplifies of what Hashem meant by the word tzibor, that people that are there for each other. I can't possibly tell you of the thoughts and share with you the thoughts and the recognition that my wife and I have, the hakaras hatov, the debt of gratitude that we have for this community, that we feel so much a part of, that we love so much, and that to us are like natural family. We have the gift of a Rav who leads this community, and who leads this community with Seichel Yashar, that in a very straightforward way to keep us guided in our growth of Torah, which is a bracha that we can't at all take for granted. I want to thank also my mother-in-law Mary, who came in this morning and who's here to be able to share this simcha with us, Elisheva's mother. What I have to say may sound a little bit cryptic, and I ask you to forgive me for it, and just take it at face value. But I asked a man who was to be 70 years old in the next couple of weeks if he would take part in this beautiful simcha that we were going to have today. And the reply was he wouldn't be here because he was too far away to be able to come, but he told me that he would come dressed as an 8-year-old baby. And I must tell you that the last time I held my father's countenance was in 1985. In January of 1985. It was the time that I was fully able to be aware of myself and my world around me. And we spent that time together. It was not such an auspicious occasion in the sense that we simply went out to run an errand together. We went to the Target, which is today the Value City, which was the Grandpa's, whatever it was, but we went to Target and we spent the time with each other. And I hadn't been able to experience the past 2 years of my life. So there was a lot that we could have catched up on and talked about during that time. But I chose the opportunity just to bask in my father's presence. Because that's what my father was truly about, was his presence. The kind and the warmth that was there, and the sincere and connection that was impossible for me to be able to describe. But the two neshamas, the two souls that were united together, and that who loved to be amongst each other's presence. My father had a simchas hachayim. He loved to experience life. He loved the whole experience of life and everything about life. And he was the linchpin of both his immediate family and his extended family, of his sister, his parents that he brought in. Everybody was like one immediate family, and he held together as a linchpin that we were all so close together. I can still recall to this day that when my father came in to hear the shul, the Yehuda, during the last several months of his life, my father decided to take upon himself to become a Baal Tshuva. And he started to keep Shabbos, and he was fully compliant with all rules of kashrus, and he was learning on a regular basis with his cousin, Alav Shalom, Ken Spetner, who they made a beautiful siyum together. But my father, I can still remember to this day during that course of time that my father walked into the shul, and the rabbi piped up at the very front of the shul, and he said, "Stuart," he said, "when you walk into the room, the whole room lights up," which was very true. That was exactly what the presence of my father was. I have to tell you, it was not a davar pashut that we were going to name this baby after my father. It was not a slam dunk situation. And I know that sounds weird to a lot of you, but just accept that knowing who I am. But I went by my father's graveside last Friday, and I stood there and I davened for 15 minutes, asking him for mechila, asking him for forgiveness if we did not name the baby after him. And after 15 minutes of very sincere davening, I opened up my eyes and I looked in front of me and I saw 3 words: Nolad Yud Aleph. And I immediately recalled the conversation that took place not an hour before that when I was in the shul, and somebody came up to me and said, "Yehuda, just because your baby was born on Yud Aleph does not mean that it'll always be Tainus Esther. Does not always mean that it'll be the fast of Esther." So my father and my son, Shalom Yitzchak, share the same birth date of Yud Aleph. But that, for me, wasn't the clincher. But after Shabbos, after last Shabbos, when Elisheva and I sat together and we made Havdalah, and after we blew out the candle, I looked at Elisheva and I said, "I feel a strong presence of my father in this room right now." And she said, "Then that seals the deal. The baby's to be named after